Hey guys, so we are going to start our reading lesson. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys so we can look at the PowerPoint together. And let me minimize myself, get rid of that. Okay. So today we're going to start our informational writing unit. And our learning goal, which, hold on, I want to go back. There we go. So we're starting our informational writing unit. Our learning goals for this lesson are to identify what makes an informational writing piece unique and brainstorming informational writing topics. By the end of this lesson, you're going to complete the assignment in Google Slides to fill in your own graphic organizer. So what are informational reports or essays? I know you all have written informational reports before, but do you really know the unique characteristics of an informational report or essay? Let's first read an informational report. While I read it, I want you to think about how the informational report is different from the other types of writing we have done this year. What makes this writing unique? So here's the informational report. Try to follow along with me if you can. I know it's kind of small, or you can, just try to listen as I read it to you. So this is called the World Cup of Soccer. Goal! Nothing matches the excitement that fans feel when cheering on their favorite soccer teams. The sport started out long ago with simple kicking games. Now, soccer is the most popular sport to play and watch across the world. Surprisingly, large competitions are relatively new to soccer. It wasn't until the middle of the 1900s when the World Cup of Soccer began. 32 national teams battle it out in a thrilling tournament every 4 years for the right to be called the best soccer country in the world. Development. In 1924 and 1928, professional teams played unofficial World Championship games. Interest was great, so an official World Championship was scheduled in 1930. The Federation International de Football Association, or FIFA, approved the event. This was the first official World Cup. Some ups and downs occurred over the years. In 1942 and 1946, the World Cup was canceled due to World War II. It was not until the 1950s and 1960s that the event began to expand to more teams and a wider audience. In 1991, FIFA added a Women's World Cup event. Today, according to the Bleacher Report, the World Cup is the most popular sports event in the world, playing and hosting. The World Cup has many similarities to the Olympic Games. It is held every 4 years and hosting is an honor. Many hosts have been large countries that love soccer, such as Brazil, Germany, and Mexico. In 1994, the United States was the host, spreading soccer to a country where it was less popular. More and more Americans took up soccer as a result. When South Africa hosted the 2010 World Cup, history was made. It was the first international team sport championship played in Africa. Watching. The World Cup is highly attended in person and viewed on television. Over 3 million people came for each of the last 5 cups to watch the event. According to Statista, the largest single game, I think it's supposed to say statistics. The largest single game attendance was 173,850, which was between Brazil and Uruguay in 1950. FIFA also shows that over 715 million viewers watched a single match on television during a recent World Cup. Winning. Only 7 teams have won the World Cup. The most successful is Brazil, with a record of 5 titles. Germany, Uruguay, Italy, and Argentina have also won the cup multiple times. Spain and England have 1 victory each. Whether their teams win or not, fans around the world love to follow this exciting event. Hundreds of millions of people become glued to their televisions, watching every second of the tournament. The World Cup may be the best sporting event of all time. Whether you call it soccer or football, there's no denying that this sport is a fan favorite. The World Cup only happens every 4 years, so don't miss it. So now that we've read the informational writing piece together, let's identify some of the unique characteristics of this type of writing. I hope that some of the characteristics I came up with are similar to the ones you noticed while we read the text. While I was reading the text, I noticed that the author only included facts. I noticed that the author never stated an opinion they had about soccer. So it sounds like maybe your informational pieces should only have mostly facts, right? They only stated factual, true information. What was one fact you learned about the World Cup of Soccer from this informational report? I learned that only 7 teams have actually won the World Cup. Another thing I noticed that I hope you did too was that the author broke each part into different sections. The sections were titled with the main idea of the paragraph. For example, the first paragraph was titled Development, and that is the only thing they wrote about in that paragraph. So when you guys set up your informational text, you may want to think about having those like little topic headings to talk about each main idea being discussed. Although all the pieces of writing that we've written this year include an introduction and a conclusion, it's important that I pointed out. As we know, the introduction is important because it helps to introduce the reader into your writing and gives them an idea of what you are going to talk about. In the conclusion for the piece we just read, the reader concluded the writing by wrapping up their thoughts on the topic and gave the reader something to remember. So when you guys write your informational pieces, just like in our past pieces we've written, you always want to have an introduction and a conclusion to your essay. So we talked about things like starting with a hook. How can you grab your reader in? And so they started with the word goal. So that kind of grabbed our attention, right? And then ending with something that you want your reader to remember. So maybe that little last thought, that last thing that kind of has them thinking. So like in this essay, it was referring back to how it only happens every 4 years. So he tells the reader, don't miss it. So that's kind of another way to kind of, grab your reader's attention. Okay, the last thing that I think is important to keep in mind and is unique and important for informational reports is that it includes many supporting details and facts that support the main idea. I hope you noticed that the author did not just put, oops, I didn't mean to go to the next slide. What was I saying? Oh, important details. So I hope you noticed that the author didn't just put in facts for each heading and move on. They included a lot of information for each section. Did you happen to notice anything else about the text we just read? Let me know by leaving a comment on the dashboard in Google Classroom. So this last slide is going to be kind of a brainstorming page. So have you ever had a hard time deciding what to write about? I know you all have. So today we're going to learn a good strategy for coming up with topics for informational reports. If we have good strategies for generating report topics, we won't waste our time and we'll have more time to write. I know you are all an expert on certain topics. It can be an activity or hobby that you do or a topic that you especially liked learning about in school. It could be a place that you visited or an animal that you read a book about. I know a lot about Disney World, tornadoes, and blue whales just by reading books. I'm going to add this organizer to the post for writing today, and you're going to have to type in your own ideas for coming up with your report ideas. So it'll look kind of like, so like here where it says type here, if you click on it, well, it's not gonna work right now, but when it's like not in presentation mode, when you click on it, you'll be able to type directly onto it with your version, okay? And so just thinking about ideas, like something that maybe you're curious about. Are there things that you've always wanted to learn about? Or maybe you're not an expert yet, but you could learn about something that interests you and teaches others. I'm really curious about learning maybe more about wars or frogs and the Ice Age. So two different kind of sections here, things that you love and already know about, or things that maybe you're curious about, that you want to learn more about. So now it's your turn. You're going to open the Google slide with the graphic organizer and complete that. So you should have at least 3 different ideas for things you already know a lot about, and at least 3 ideas for interests you have that you want to learn more about. And when you're done, make sure you turn it in so that I can see it. And I can't wait to see the kinds of ideas you guys come up with. So brainstorm, think about it. Today, your job is just to fill in where it says type here on the slides that I sent you outside of this presentation, okay? And then turn it in and you should be all set. So if you have any questions, let me know. Brainstorm some great ideas. Can't wait, and I can't wait to read them.